Yeah, see, they say they're pro-life because they want the baby to be born, go to school, and get shot in the school. Die in the school, die on the streets. No, that is what they say.
I'm not going to say anything, but you've gone over the cliff.
I move to strike his
I'm not going
words.
over the cliff.
Wait, you've gone over. We were going to be quiet, but you've gone over now.
You didn't use any.
I meant every word.
We are going to strike your words. But on the other hand, it might be good to leave your words. It might be good to leave your words. Because that's how you feel. But you are not going to come into this room and impugn our integrity. You will not. We are pro-life people from conception to natural death. Most of us are. And don't you come in here and say, we want to preserve life so people can get shot.
That's what I've seen.
Representative Maxwell Frost has seemingly raised the dead here by pointing out a relatively simple fact. The fact that there are still Republicans walking around here claiming to be pro-life despite not doing a damn thing to support life in this country. And some of them are actively ending it. Virginia Foxx here, who couldn't figure out how to cut her mic on, more than likely because they didn't have mics when she initially got elected to Congress in 1792. Her voting record tells us everything we need to know.
Hey everybody, I'm Chuck Hubbard. I'm running for Congress in North Carolina's 5th District. My opponent, Virginia Foxx, as chair of the Rules Committee, has led the charge in tearing down Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, veterans benefits, all of that. It's a sacred compact we have with our people to take care of them, and we absolutely have to protect those entities.
So let's see that tracks. Claims to be pro-life, yet constantly voting against working class families' interests. Cutting medical aid, cutting food, just about everything else they get their hands on. But what else do you expect from somebody who looks like a crypt keeper? And considering what's happening in Minneapolis, Republican hypocrisy has reached nuclear levels.
And again, I am sorry that this gentleman is dead, but he did bring a 9mm semi-automatic weapon with 2 cartridges to what was supposed to be a peaceful protest. I think that there are a lot of paid agitators who are ginning things up, and the governor has not done a good job at tamping this down.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, he was an ICU nurse, worked for the Veterans Administration, and there's no evidence that he brandished the gun whatsoever. In fact, it appears that he was disarmed before
he brought a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Anybody remember Kyle Rittenhouse? He was basically deified by the right wing for bringing a gun to a protest like 30 seconds ago. Now, all of a sudden, they're like, the Second Amendment. Who said anything about the Second Amendment? We didn't say anything about the Second Amendment. The only thing that they're consistent on is that they're consistently anti-life.
We have a child care crisis in this country. In my home state of Pennsylvania, infant and toddler care costs on average $14,000 per year. That's almost half the average annual salary of the child care workers in my district. Child care, if folks can even find it, is pushing families into poverty as they are forced to make impossible choices between paying the rent or paying for care, between staying employed or staying home. Republicans are doing everything in their power to undermine investments in child care, including with this bill, which will allow employers to exclude child care benefits from overtime pay. Employees working overtime are the ones who need child care the most, and the bill undermines workers' abilities to pay for that care.
Is indeed a massive child care crisis in this country, as I'm sure many of you are already well aware of. And the Republicans are trying to make it even worse, if you can imagine that. Yet right-wing thought leaders like Elon Musk keep trying to encourage you to rush home and have as many kids as you can push out. And while the rich keep eroding this economy more and more against the working class. I mean, the House just voted on the Flexibility for Worker Education Act just to screw you over a little bit more.
I rise today to fight for some of the most overworked and underpaid people in our country, to ensure that the money they work so hard for goes to them and their families, not to someone who didn't work for it. The true purpose of this bill is not to protect tip employees, The true purpose is to make it easier to pay people less for their work, to pay them less than $7.25 an hour. This bill allows employers to classify anyone who may receive a seasonal or random tip as a tipped employee, meaning they can now be paid below minimum wage by their employer. Those tips should be in addition to a worker's wage.
Hello, Central Florida. This is Congressman Darren Soto. House Democrats stood united tonight to stop anti-overtime bills that would hurt workers as House Republicans lose control of the House again. This would have hurt overtime for workers with trainings that they have to do for their employers, for benefits they may get for child care. We stand with working families in Central Florida and across the nation to make sure we're protecting your paychecks.
So minimum wage is already barely anything at $7.25, and to the Republicans, they think, no, you make too much. You're having too easy of a time taking care of your family. Shut up and get back in the mines. So let's recap. So from the pro-life party, they have no problem gutting and cutting medical and food benefits. They have no problem when you get shot and killed in the street by the state simply by protesting, simply because of protesting, or even being adjacent to a protest. Perfectly fine with that. And if you're working in a minimum wage job, they think you're making too much money. So, sounds pretty pro-life to me, right? Just remember this in November, because you're going to be asked to support them again. Remember who they are. When they show you who they are, remember.